been a challenging life. And it's hard to speak for me sometimes. It's hard for me to, put things that I feel into words, because it's like, the things that I've experienced and the way people have reacted to me in this world. It's a rare person out there who can really listen and understand that it's not, that a person expressing themselves is not a threat, to them. That, it's like when we go to express ourselves, the way normal, quote unquote, humans tend to express themselves seems like on this very shallow level, where the heart isn't really involved. And for me, that is sort of difficult. It's hard for me to have conversations with people that don't involve, what my, honest feelings are. And, my life experience has been, filled with traumatic events and just sort of a life that wasn't really given an opportunity to have a natural flow to it. I constantly had to manage, the people around me, and, the people around me, weren't really putting themselves in my shoes. And, I had to be very supportive. I was sort of like maneuvered into a position to be supportive for people who weren't supportive to me most of my life. And it's like, I was so exhausted from, from the abuse that I suffered from my father, that it made it hard for me to really just be motivated anymore to, be a person out in the world. And, so I ended up in relationships, where I was very passive and frightened to assert myself. And that, sort of pattern of avoidance, made me pay a very heavy price of just feeling a lot of resentment and, a lot of unfulfilled desires, just sort of like putting everything that I really wanted on the back burner and just like going into, escapist sort of activities, like playing video games and spending a lot of time consuming media rather than like going out and having like normal, relationships and, the way a young person would. But, because I was so exhausted by the circumstances of my life, I chose relationships that, allowed for me to kind of fade into the background and kind of like slowly rediscover who I was. So I spent about 15 years in, semi-isolation, just sort of, absorbing information and, stuff from the internet and, I spent a lot of time with a couple of friends of mine, who I went to live with. They were about, I don't know, there's like about 30-something years age gap between me and them. One of them passed away a few years ago, and in some ways that was an extremely painful circumstance, but it was also very liberating, because this friend of mine had a lot of negative stored up energy, and it was like hard to really move forward in life with him and with his mindset. And so even though I loved him very much, it was actually a positive turning point in my life, because it sort of freed up the space for me to exist more, and to like rediscover who I was. Anyway, the last couple of days I've been talking a lot to my other friend who I've lived with, and I just talked about a lot of the things that sort of he participated in that were very negative toward me. And it's very helpful to have someone in your life who's able to listen to like unflattering truths about themselves. It's very easy for me to forgive people who can really just take it in, and no matter how harsh it may sound, because like I wasn't trying to punish him. I needed to get things about him and his influence on me off my chest. And he actually listened without interruption, and he acknowledged that this is actually I did these things, and I'm sorry about them. So I'm immensely grateful that I have one person in my life who I've been able to be honest with. There's not many people who can take honesty, and it's one thing to sort of talk about it to myself and on a camera, but it's another thing to have another human being listen to you and acknowledge that it's okay. It's okay that you're a human being. It's okay that you have these feelings. I'm sorry that I've hurt you. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to help you more in the ways that you wanted to be helped. And it's so weird, it's so difficult, it seems like, to find people that resonate in this life that really want to be honest. And to me, I've always held honesty at a very high regard, and so it's always strange to me how people just want to fuck around and just not get to the real shit, and they want to have these polite, quote unquote, polite conversations, and they want to have this I don't know, superficial sort of connections, because they're too afraid to really look at what it is that goes on inside. I think a lot of people don't even have words to describe the things that go on inside of them. Either that, or they just aren't aware enough of the broader range of who we really are as human beings and what we go through. And so particularly I guess it is different for people who've had very traumatizing childhoods, things that happen early on. Obviously that's gonna make it more likely that you're going to have intense feelings that other people may have a more difficult time relating to, if they haven't gone through some similar things. Anyhow. Yeah. So it's like hard to sometimes find people to relate to for me, because I just want to be real. Just want to like talk about, what I feel. And, I'm not like trying to hold people responsible for it. I just want to express it. I just want to express it so that it's been said. It's off my chest. I don't have to, pretend. I can't stand like going around and pretending. I hate it. I hate how like my father, never allowed me to like express myself about him, honestly. He just would not, he didn't want to hear it because he was too much of a coward to really, hear his impact on me. All the temper tantrums, all the like manipulative behavior, the shitty circumstance that he put me in, taking me away from my family, forcing me to, abandon my, my native language before I was really ready. German is, my original language, but, like when I came here to America, my father just suddenly said, "Oh, no more German." No more German. And I had barely learned how to speak English. So it's very fucked up and out of the blue. And this is like the way my father always handled things. He'd always just like fucking, surprise, this is what we're doing now. You're going, you have to be all in, with me on this. So yeah. God, my father, such a fucking asshole. It's weird, it's weird to both love and hate someone so much. But, because on the one hand, my dad is totally fucked up and was highly inappropriate with me. And, just did things to me that would, not very flattering to him for me to, tell the world about it. So, but, on the other hand, I see like, why he is the way he is. And understand that, even though I'm the one who had to, tolerate the abuse, it wasn't, I'm just a fucking poor bastard who happened to be there, It's not like it means anything about me. The abuse, it doesn't define me. I mean, it is something that I experienced, but, what the evil in him doesn't have anything to do with me. It's just, it happened to be that I was there when it happened. I don't know if that makes sense, but, that's the way I look at it. Is, yeah. Because, I see, the person that he is behind all of that. That essentially the things he did to me were out of fear. fear and a lack of, empathy, basically. Lack of, because, if he was actually able to feel, the torture that he was putting me through, then obviously he wouldn't have been able to do it because it would have been too painful. But, it's like, and I tried to sort of like talk about this with him when I was like, I don't know, 19 years old. And, he just said, I don't owe you anything. So basically he didn't want to hear it. And then I realized, okay, well, I can't talk to him about it, and that's okay. Maybe, when he, is sort of like has his passing over experience into the afterlife, he'll experience all the shit that he made me experience, and then he'll think, oh shit, I did that? Oh, wow, I made my son feel all of this? Wow. Damn, dude, I really regret that, That was horrible. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. But, yeah, it is sort of nice that I was able to talk about some of the other stuff, with, my close friend about him, and that he was willing to listen to it. But, it's been a long relationship, and, I've had to grow as a person quite a bit to get to where I am, to have the courage to, like, confront people honestly, like, because, a few years ago, I just like let him have it. I just fucking yelled at him, said, enough of this shit. You're doing this to me and it's not fucking working for me, so stop it, And ever since, our relationship has gotten better and better because I'm just more honest about, what it is that I want, what my boundaries are, and, when I feel like, I need to speak up, I'm able to speak up nowadays. And that's, made the energy flow in me so much more smoothly, just to, like, not feel gaslit into, like, feeling guilty for carrying around this negative hostility for people and not being able to express it, and then sort of second guessing myself about, well, did this really happen? Am I being too harsh here? How should I put this? Can I, like, maybe put this in a more nice way? But, it's like, you're just sort of direct and honest. And sometimes, you just have to, like, fucking explode and let people have it. And then, if you have to separate from them completely, sometimes, that is necessary. But, if they can actually hear you and make adjustments, then it's like, wow, it's a very good feeling to be supported in that way. It's unfortunately rare, because most people just want to go on pretending, having these, like, false relationships. Anyhow, so, yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I'll say for today. Hope you guys got something out of this. But, yeah, just always practicing self-expression, getting myself more comfortable in sorting out my thoughts verbally. And so, I think it is helpful for me to do this, YouTube stuff, because, like, it sort of helps me deal with some of the anxiety of interacting with people, because, just like, it takes courage, to put these things out there, to say them out loud and share them with the world, and, not be too concerned about, what the response will be. So anyhow, yeah, I'll leave it here for now. See you guys later.